Hey, what's going on, y'all? I just want to make this quick video to talk about Child, also known as Tartaglia. I know a lot of people are thinking about pulling on his banner, not only for Rosaria, but for Child or Tartaglia themselves. A lot of people don't really realize his potential as well. A lot of people are thinking that you need to have him at a C6 constellation to make him viable. But I just wanted to let people know that that's absolutely not the case. I have my Tartaglia at Constellation 0, and for many different reasons, you actually can have more damage output at C0 than C6. Because one of the big things with Tartaglia and his constellations is that at Constellation C4, this triggering Riptide effects with his ults when you switch from the blade stance to the range stance, so the melee stance and the range stance of fighting, this reset ruins your damage stacking to a certain extent for like one-shots. So for really high one-shot hits, this can kind of bring that down. A lot of people just think, if you have Child, he's really an investment whale character because everybody wants to get him to C6 because then you have unlimited melee stance. And like, I understand that. I think it would be really badass to have a C6 Tartaglia as well. I'm just not going to put $1,000 to do that. But I wanted to talk about the things that he is very good at and why he's absolutely an amazing unit, even at C0. Because with the artifact set, the Heart of the Depth, and Hydro damage bonus, the elemental skill damage and charge attack damage by 30%, this kit was really designed for Child or Tartaglia and really highlights all of the things that makes him great. Because he is a very, very strong area of attack based DPS carry for your team. You just have to figure out the proper ways to use him when he isn't C6. When he says C6, he can be your full individual main carry, where you can have different team compilations that don't require different sub DPSs. But with a C0, you do need to find some characters to build in compilation with him to be able to work around his cooldowns. And for that reason, there are many good characters that you can use in his team compilations, like Hu Tao or other examples, who function in similar ways where you use their elemental skill and they've got their 15 seconds of attacking, right? And then when you're waiting on these cooldowns between your other sub DPS, whoever that might be, you switch back to Tartaglia, go to the blade stance, apply the Riptide effects, shoot off your ult, go to your supports, use your supports, get the buffs going, do some energy recharge, energy particle gains. And then when you wait the other 15 seconds, you can pop off a couple shots with the range bow mode, switch back to the melee blade stance, and keep spamming until you kill enemies. Child is a water-based DPS, so he's very good for proccing Vaporize and also for freeze comps because of the way that he adds Hydro to enemies. So, there's many different combinations you can try to use on a team with Child, but you have to be careful. If you use the melee stance for too long, as I've just demonstrated here, you have a 30-second cooldown. If you overextend the blade stance, you have to know to wait the 15 seconds, because if you hold it too long, there's going to have a dramatically longer cooldown. And so that's certain things that people don't realize about managing Child's kit. He's an intricate character that is more complex to play than most characters in this game. Somebody like Zhong Li, who's just like an ooga booga, caveman style, just hitting things really hard until they die. Tartaglia, who's just like an ooga booga, caveman style, just hitting things really hard until they die. Child, who's just like an ooga booga, caveman style, just hitting things really hard until they die. doing your nuking alt, or you've got Luke, who has, you know, basically the most easy, boring gameplay I've ever done in this game. Somebody like Tartaglia is a lot more technical, but he's still a very fun unit, and he offers a lot of great benefits, and he's one of the best DPSs in the game with an AoE-based focus. You know, hydro elements, so he applies vaporize. He can help with your vaporize comps and also your melt and freeze comps, or sorry, not your melt comps, but your freeze comps. And yeah, I think for somebody that's interested in him as a character, likes the gameplay, likes the fighting style, likes the model of the character, everything like that, I think he's really great. And when it comes to his banner, I mean, like Barbara, that's pretty bad, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if you can manage to avoid pulling Barbara, you've got some great other options here with Rosaria, who's not going to be out on her own banner as a rate up in quite some time. So if you don't pull her now, when she goes into the regular polls for the other banners, you're not going to have her at a rate up for some time since she's so new. And then Fischl, who's one of the best characters in the game to get constellations for, is also very amazing. But I'm not going to lie, Barbara being on there does suck. And the Skyward Harp is the best in slot weapon for a child, and definitely is suited towards him in that it boosts your crit damage and crit rate. But who knows, in the future there could be another bow that comes out that kind of trumps this one, because, you know, although the stats on this are pretty good for the crit rate, crit damage increase, the other effect for the small AoE doing the physical attack damage is just kind of eh. You're really only getting this for the high base stat values and the crit rate and crit damage boost. But, you know, there could be other bows in the future that could do similar. So I don't know. His other bows that work really well, by the way, I'm using the Viridescent Hunt because I wanted to get the crit boost. But the other best bows for him, if you have the Rust, is probably the best 4-star option alongside the Viridescent Hunt. The Viridescent Hunt is a BP weapon, so you're going to have to use the Battle Pass to unlock this. But I actually prefer this over Rust because this has a better AoE focus, especially for Abyss, pulling in enemies with the mini vortex it creates, which can be procced and activated in your melee stance, blade stance, as well as the range stance. It doesn't do quite as much damage output on a single character as the Rust, but I find that overall I enjoy it a lot more. And on the flip side, I also don't own the Rust. I've just seen other videos demonstrating the differences and comparisons with the Viridescent Hunt and Rust. I think the Rust aesthetically looks much better suited to him. But other bows you can use, some people kind of experiment with the stringless, with the elemental mastery. I was using him for a long time with the sacrificial bow, which I found pretty effective, but his damage output wasn't quite as strong. But it was good for you know, getting those alts and stuff off a lot quicker. Still, I think you should really focus on something that's either similar to Rust or the Viridescent Hunt, or if you're lucky enough to get the Skyward Harp, Ramos Bow, what have you, those are ideal. But he can work with other things as well. He just doesn't have as much options for his bows as certain other characters that can kind of experiment with many different options, since his gameplay and stuff is so unique. So, you know, that's something to think about too. The Windbloom Ode is actually it looks terrible on him, but it has potential for him as well because of the attack boost on the, you know, lower skill for 32%. And it's got some elemental mastery, so it'll help with your combos, with the vaporize and freeze combos to get more damage out of his input. And if I were to show here what he kind of looks like when you're using him in a team compilation, some of the benefits. You can see that when you switch to him, you can immediately switch the blade stance, pop off, and get the Riptide effect on all the enemies. And then bust your ult, and then switch to your other DPS, right? Your sub DPS. And you're going to be able to play these styles off each other to maximize your damage output. And can really help you out. To get your... And so that's where he kind of specializes in getting this really strong damage for your team. Overall, I'd say it's up to a person's individual choice. If you really want to pull the character because you really enjoy them and you don't mind missing out on other potential reruns of other characters coming soon or the new characters coming in the new patches, it's really up to your own choice, you know. I think he's worth it, and I don't think he's going to be overshadowed by newer characters anytime too soon. But I also know that he's an older character, and some people just like to go after the new stuff. So, you know, it's just kind of... He's definitely not a character that's like an absolute necessity by any means, because a lot of characters can do the similar roles, you know, in terms of being a DPS. He is the only Hydro-based DPS unit in the game, unless you run a Hydro DPS Mona. But yeah, that's my thoughts on everything with that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you like my video, please leave a like and subscribe for more videos and content in the future. And I will catch you all in the next one.